Good evening, everybody. How are we? We've made it. Let's hope the gremlins have stayed away tonight. I'd love to know if you're here and if you can see me okay and hear me okay. And as soon as we know that, we can get going. Got some lovely stuff to show you tonight. Something a little bit different. Yeah, life's been a little bit hectic, so tonight the wheels might fall off a bit. We'll see how we can go. Hi, anybody there? Hello. So lovely to have your company. Hi, Barbara. Great to have you with us. Oops, sorry, I've just disappeared myself. There we go. Um, okay. Oh dear. Hello, Kathleen, Joyce. Hi, Rose. So good, we've got started. That's brilliant. And hi, Diane. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. So here we are for another Thursday night natter avec moi. Um, this one is going to feature two longer projects, more sort of construction and techniques and things going on. So I hope you're going to find that interesting. No one particular theme. We're going to be having a look at something from the vintage travel collection and then something from the architectural collection. So, oh, Barbara, how exciting! Oh, I couldn't stop once I started dotting those dies. It's addictive, isn't it? But really good fun. So I hope you really get lots of pleasure out of those. I'm sure you will. Hi, Jamie. Thank goodness you're here. I don't know who I am or where I am or what day of the week it is, but anyway, it appears I've turned up at the right time. So that's a bonus, isn't it? Oh goodness. So as some of you probably know, I am gadding off tomorrow morning. Excuse me, so that I can get down to Craft Bliss, which is a very long way from me, to be there for Saturday. So this will be only my second in-store demo day, and I'm very, very excited about it. I really am giddy. I can't wait. I've been working really, really hard to get all my samples and my demos and everything sorted out. Hence why tonight might be a bit chaotic, because I've probably packed half the things I need. But we'll see how we go. So we're going to have a look, as I say, at the architectural collection, one of the vintage travel. So I thought I can't find my samples. I'm sorry, Jamie, I'm letting you down today. Can't find my samples for the architectural collection. Don't know what I've done with them. But I did find some of the vintage travel, so I've got something to show you, at least. So I hope you're going to enjoy that. So just before we get stuck into something hands-on, little bits of news. Not too much, because I'll leave that up to Jamie. He knows what's going on, or at least he claims he does. I'm not so sure. But anyway. Hi, Sharon. Nice to have you with us again. So tonight is my Thursday night natter, and Saturday I'm at Craft Bliss doing a demo day. When I come back from Craft Bliss, I have television on Hobby Maker Thursday, so that's next Thursday, so a week today, which obviously means I won't be able to do my Thursday night natter next week. So I'm going to swap with Jamie and do Monday night. But because I'm on telly, Jamie can't do Thursday either because he has to be available. So he's going to do Friday night for you. Same time, same place, but Friday, not Thursday. So I hope that message gets through. If you can pass it on, it'll be on the page. The events are always up on the page. We always try to keep you well informed. The only thing you have to do is go and look. We can't help you if you don't go and look. So do please stay in contact with the main Creative Expressions page. That's where we'll give you all the news and all the dates and everything we can to keep you up to speed. So that's what's happening next week. Hi, Emma. Nice to see you. Hi, Kim. You okay? So that's next week. So Jamie will be on Highlight Crafts as well next week. I believe it's Wednesday and Thursday. So hello, Kath. Hello, Siobhan. Oh, how lovely. Oh, don't. He won't go to sleep listening to me, so turn me off. Um, yeah, so Jamie's going to be on Highlights Crafts, and he's going to be showing, I believe, Rodney and Family, and I don't know what else he's doing. He's doing something else. It's not this collection because I'm launching this collection live on Hobby Maker. Apart from you lucky people who are going to be at Craft Bliss on Saturday, who will be getting it pre-release, you'll be the only people in the world who are going to be able to get their hands on this new collection. I'm not going to tell you any more because I don't want naughty stars. So you'll have to be there or be square, or you will wait till Thursday next week and you'll be able to see. Actually, I tell a lie, because on Monday I'm going to be doing a sneak peek. So you will get to see it, but it won't be available until Thursday at Hobby Maker, and then the following Tuesday will be Stockers launch, I think. So those are your dates for that one. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Jamie's fallen in love with it. I've fallen in love with it. I think you're going to fall in love with it. It's really, really gorgeous. Something for everyone. Some bits of cute, bits not so cute. It's just beautiful. So there we go. Hi Lynn, hi Gail. You're not late, I'm just waffling, don't worry love. I'm only giving updates and stuff like that, but they'll all be on the page, and I'll mention them again towards the end of the hour or the hour and a half or whatever it ends up being. And yeah, keep watching, keep posting. I hope you're all doing your homework for Jamie. I believe you're posting those on the Creative Expressions official group now. And then somebody can win a goodie bag, so that's exciting and certainly worth entering. And it's not based on ability or standards or anything like that. It's totally random pick. It's just fun to join in and have a go and maybe test yourself a little bit and maybe do something you wouldn't have done otherwise. And sometimes it's really nice, isn't it, to have a theme for somebody to say to you, this is what I want you to do. And it kind of narrows it down a bit, because we've said this before, when you sit down sometimes to craft and you've got all this stuff, which we all have, and you don't know where to start because you're just overwhelmed, there's just too much. So for somebody to narrow it down and say, right, I want you to do something in blue, or I want you to do something with birds on it, or whatever it might be, I think sometimes it helps you focus and helps you come up with an idea that sitting there looking at everything thinking I don't know what to do isn't helpful, is it? So hi Wendy, hope you're all right. So let's have a look, let's have a refresh of the architectural collection, shall we? I'll just swap my cameras. All right, so here are some of the samples showing some of the key features from that collection. A vintage travel theme, so we've got a steam train, we have vintage luggage and luggage tags. There's a beautiful vintage car. This one I've just done in white and silver, obviously thinking about a wedding card perhaps. There's this really funky, lovely bicycle, and it reminds me of a bike I had when I was young. So it's all nostalgic, isn't it? It's really lovely. And then we have the amazing biplane there, the old vintage aeroplane, and we have the ocean liner, and again some of those luggage tags. So these are really lovely. And then we've got the fabulous motorbike, and I've just left this one out to show you because the detail that comes with these dies is something else. Really deep etching, and it gives so much detail in what would otherwise be probably a die that you'd need to then stamp the detail onto. So this does it all in one pass through the machine. You can enhance it even further if you like to use your rubber mat and deepen that etching, but you don't really need to. I mean, it's super, isn't it? And then that means you've got highlights that you can rub over with the metallic waxes or with an ink pad. I know Jamie's shown you a few times how to do it with the stays on if you're working on mirror card, because mirror card won't take other inks. It will take alcohol inks, but that's not really what we're talking about here. So you want an ink pad that you can swipe across the top and highlight all those high points. So yeah, all of the dies do that. Really beautiful. Hi Pam, nice to have your company. So those are just a few examples to give you a little bit of inspiration. And if we just now have a look at the dies, please excuse mine. Again, I do tend to get sample dies, and I've none in my stock in the shop that I could nick. So they've no packaging, so I'm sorry about that, but it helps you see what they are at least. So this is the vintage labels, vintage tags. This set gives you the dies, and you have a beautiful little folded luggage tag here, which also cuts out a little slot. And if you have a look at this example, you can see exactly that. And you can put some ribbon through that, or I've just used a piece of card and I've inked it with the metallic waxes, so it almost looks like a piece of leather, doesn't it? Gorgeous. It does all the stitching for you. It does the score line for you. It cuts out an aperture here, and there's a stamp that fits perfectly in there. In fact, I think there are 2, if not 3. So that's your luggage tag, which is this label here. Then you've got a couple of ticket shapes, and these are the matching stamps. So you can see the tickets here and here. And then these are the ones that are slightly smaller. Oh, excuse me. To go in that one there, but you can use them on their own as well, of course. And then you've got a round label and a triangle, and you've got stamps to fit those as well. So a really super collection. Just that standalone is lovely, and gives you lots of options to add to your travel journals or scrapbook pages, or anything like that. Perhaps you've had a lovely holiday. As you know, my husband and I have just come back from Scotland, and actually we had a fab trip up to the Glenfinnan Viaduct, and we saw the Harry Potter train. It's called the Jacobite, and it's a black steam train. It's very smart, and we saw it going across the viaduct. It was very exciting. But there were loads of tourists there. I mean, how rude. Did they not know we were coming? But anyway, yeah, we had to share this little patch of land with lots of people, all very excited trying to see this train. It was dead good. So that's, I don't know what I was talking about, but anyway, yeah, travel trips, journals, that was it. I haven't done mine yet. I've got my notes, but I haven't written it up. So here we are, lots of tickets and ticket tags. And also on this set, this is really lovely, there's a beautiful frame. This here, and this gives you lots of options to frame photographs, just for matting and layering. It also has fantastic deboss detail. If you have a look at this one here in the gold, you can see all those little dots, even the mitres at the corner and the indent in the frame. It's absolutely brilliant. So that comes with your luggage tag label things, and you get that lovely frame as well. And you could use it like a passport cover. That's perhaps something that you could adapt it to as well. So that's a lovely set. All right, then we have our fabulous vintage motor car, and I did just briefly show you one that I had cut, and I did that trick that Jamie does where he cuts 2 layers at the same time. So I cut a silver layer and a white layer, and because of the extra thickness when you do that, the silver doesn't actually cut, although it will cut around the outside pretty much. You might need to snip the odd bit, but it doesn't cut all the tiny details, but it does emboss them. And then the top layer, which in this case was the white, it will cut that, and then you can put the 2 back together and you get the silver bits poking through where there are holes in the white one. So it's really clever. I love that technique. So thank you, Jamie, for teaching us that one. And I've actually gone over this with the metallic wax, the pearl white, so you can see it's got a beautiful glisten to it. So that's the lovely vintage car. Then we move on to our beautiful steam train. Now we've already seen this example, and I love this because it's got real movement to it, and you've got this steam here which you can have coming out of the funnel, and even that has extra detail in it. It's really lovely. But you don't have to use that as steam, you can use it as clouds. I think it was Sharon did a wonderful card where she'd use this as trees and landscaping and that sort of thing. So other usable bits and pieces, and you could take the back end off and just have the engine. If you didn't want the carriages, you could just have the engine. Perhaps you wanted to make a smaller card, or maybe you know somebody who's an engine driver, I don't know, could be for whatever reason. But that's our wonderful train. Again, loads and loads of etched detail in that die, and it all comes out with one pass through the machine. So if you have a look at this, you can see all those white lines are the indentations, and then I've gone over this with the copper gilding wax. So really beautiful results. And I have another one here, because also released with this collection were the isosceles triangles, which you can see I've used here as an extra flap on this particular card, and the train just sits nicely on that. So I've embossed this with one of the stencil vaults. Again, I've used the copper over that train. I've got an extra flap, so I've got my sentiment hiding behind it, and then inside the card I've used the triangle for you to write your sentiment. So none of that is seen when the card is closed. It only is revealed when you start to open the card up. So that's a nice little card idea. Then we move on to this amazing motorbike. Now I haven't got a sample made with this, but I have got it cut out, as I've already shown you, from the mirror card. And if you want to see examples, if it's not something you've seen before with this collection, do go to Creative Expressions website, and at the top where all the menu items are, you'll find design ideas. Click on that and you'll be able to look at all the lovely samples that DT have made and Jamie has made, and for all the different collections. And they're really easy to find because they're listed by collection. So if you want to go on and get some inspiration for that, it's all there for you, which is amazing. That's what we're all about, inspiring you to get crafting and get great results with great products. So there's our fabulous vintage motorbike, and then that lovely biplane that we talked about before, and this again, lots of detail, really accurately portrayed as well. It's a really lovely model, and you could do this in all sorts of colours. You could do a bright yellow one, you know, it depends what, I mean, you know, people go to the air shows, don't they, and they spot certain ones, so that might be something you'd like to do. But again, I've used it in a more of a vintage way, giving it a metallic finish, and again I've used those isosceles triangles and one of the stencil bolt in the background there. But this is really what we're looking at, is the biplane, which is really stunning. So that's that one. And then we've got that lovely bicycle, which is very nostalgic for me and probably some of you as well, perhaps. I didn't have a basket on mine, I have to say, but everything else reminds me of my little bike. So that's a really beautiful model as well, and we have it here in its steel form, and you even get the cluster of flowers, which can be used separately for anything. Little get well card with a little cluster of flowers, you name it, you can use flowers, can't you? Can't go wrong with flowers. So there we go. This one also features the frame from the vintage luggage tags set, and I don't know if you can pick up all those little dots that are indented. Now we know about dies to dot. That frame, oh my goodness, I'm going to be dotting that frame and using it with a bit of bling. That's going to be perfect, because I would think those are like the 3mm size. They might be slightly smaller, but if so, you could still use your pearl effects to dot those. Wouldn't that be great? Love that. Oh, I've just give myself an idea. Okay, moving on to the ocean liner. And again, 2 dies here. You get the ocean waves. I think mine are upside down, looking at it that way. Not that it matters, but they are that way. So you get the waves, which you can repeat. So you can have it going through stormy seas. And then you've got the beautiful liner itself. It's even flying a flag, which is brilliant, isn't it? And here's a small example with a cloudy background. Again, that lovely frame, the liner itself, and some of those tags, as we've had a quick look at before. And then we also have the actual luggage here. So this is a lovely set. If you like paper piecing, this is perfect for that, but you don't have to do that. You can just colour them individually. You can do them all the same. It's entirely up to you. But you get this lovely stack of vintage suitcases, and you get one single one as well. And there's all the little travel tags, look, for wherever they've been in the world. Lots of detail that you can pick out and colour. And here I've done a very small card using this particular set with the stack of suitcases. I did pick out one and the top one to do in different colours. Then I've used just the stamps from that luggage set to create a lovely background. And the card itself is cut from one of the rectangle layering dies. This is the fluted edge, and I've cut that the largest size and then folded it in half, and that actually makes the card blank. So another use for your layering dies as well. And then this last example is really showcasing the triangles. I love triangles for folding, making pockets, for doing bunting, all sorts of things. They're really fabulous. So on this card we've got some of the luggage label tags, we've got one of the suitcases, we have 2 of the triangles here, and a stencil in the background. And this is similar to the project I'm going to be running through with you tonight. And then this little pocket here is also made with the triangles. So this is the largest one. And what I did was folded it and then again wrapped it around itself. So this edge here is actually the bottom of the triangle. Can you see that? And then this is where I folded it like that. And then what I did was actually folded part of it up again to create 2 little pockets there. And this is the point coming round and wrapping round again. So these I love. I always did. The first time I saw them I was like, oh, love those, brilliant. And nobody does triangles, do they? I think because, I don't know, perhaps they don't know how to use them, but I love them. So there we go, triangles galore. And now we've got the right angled ones as well, which is brilliant, isn't it? So there you go, that's our quick overview of the travel collection and the triangles that came with it at the same time. So let me come back and talk to you all for a minute. Hello, how are we? Hi everybody, lovely to see you all here. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're all well, and I don't know what the weather's like with you. It's been lovely today, sunny, been really nice. So yes, very excited about what's going on at the minute. There's a lot going on. We're trying very hard to keep you all in the loop as to what's happening when. So do keep in touch with the page, the main Creative Expressions page, because everything's on there. When there's an event coming up, whether it's a TV show, whether it's a Natter night, anything going on, we'll pop it on there and you'll be able to find out about it. So worth joining in there. Okay, thank you, Pam, that's very kind of you. Hi Mavis. So let's go to our project then and let's get started. We'll just make some space and I'll show you what I'm hoping to show you tonight. I've got so many bits and pieces. Let me turn the camera down. Okay, so oops, not if I've got the actual one. Here we go. So this is the card I wanted to share with you. I did briefly show it to you when we were talking about this collection the first time around, but I didn't actually get to do it because it was quite involved and it would take quite a long time. So I thought it would be nice to actually run through it in a bit more detail. I don't like rushing through always, you know, oh, this is what we did and stick it there and that's it, there you go, that's done. As you know by now, I like to get down to the nitty gritty and show you the whys and wherefores. So I hope that's something you enjoy, because I do like to do that. So it's quite a large card. I think it's A5-ish, and it's featuring the triangles, the frame, the car, the luggage, the tags, a stencil, all sorts of goodies. So let's get started. I'm going to start first of all to show you how to create this background. Now I don't know if you can pick that up. That is embossed with a stencil. But as you may know, the stencils are DL, and this is not DL. It's longer and it's wider. So I had to juggle around with this to get this to emboss the whole panel. And that's one thing that I would like to show you if you're interested, and if you bear with me, and we will do that. So I have a piece of card already cut, and as you can see, it's a little bit shorter than I need it to be. So what I'm going to do is emboss part of it like this with a rubber mat. So we've talked about this multiple times, but you may not have been here, you may not have heard us talk about it. My machine is different from Jamie's. Mine's an old school with a big platform and 2 clear plates, and then I adapt various mats, rubber mats, different embossing plates and things like that to create different effects. Now I know Jamie has an electric machine and he has a lot of thinner plates, and I know a lot of you have machines like that as well. I can't really give you much advice about those, but the machines, the manufacturers usually give you a really comprehensive leaflet to tell you all about how to do various things. But also, you'll hear Jamie talk about it. It gives you lots of advice about how to do various things. So if you catch up with him on his Natter nights, he'll show you things like that with different machines as well. So, but for me, I've got the Spellbinders Platinum and I've got the big white base plate. Oh, hi Christiana, hope you're well. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to Saturday very much indeed. I really am. So we're going to work directly onto our platform, and you need to put your stencil down first. Okay, now because I want to be moving this stencil around quite a lot, I don't want it to shift, so I'm actually going to tape it to my card. Now I'm going to give myself a little bit of breathing space to overlap the pattern. That's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm going to find some lines in the pattern so I can make sure it's straight. So I'm edging up these bits and I'm edging up that line there. That way I'll get the pattern over the whole stencil, and I'm just going to tape that down. You do have to be a bit careful when you're doing this because the tape will also imprint, but it's minimal. Turn it over so the stencil is always next to your base plate, then your cardstock, and then your rubber mat. Now I use quite a thick rubber mat, but it will depend what you've got. So I don't want to emboss these hard edges into my cardstock, because once you do, they're very difficult to get rid of. So what I need to do is make sure my rubber mat stays away from those edges. So I'm going to line it up so it just goes to the edge of my card and no further, and it doesn't go, there's this hard edge there and it's not covering that. Does that make sense? I told you it was a bit of a faff, but it's worth it. Then I'm going to use my top plate and I'm going to put that through the machine. The other advantage of taping your stencil to your card is that you can run it backwards and forwards through the machine. But sometimes when we're embossing, it shifts and then it's impossible to match up again if you want to do this repeat pattern malarkey. Okay, so the other thing I want to make sure is that I don't turn the stencil over. that doesn't help at all when you're trying to pattern match. So I've got now, this part is embossed. Can you see that? I have actually caught the hard edge, but never mind. So now what I want to do is move my stencil down, match up that pattern and carry on. Okay, so find the details that match, line that up. Now I want to be careful that I don't emboss over this edge, and I'm going to try and avoid that again, so because that would spoil the pattern I've already done. Okay, so let's get that straight and let's get the details matched up. Do you know why I can't see what I'm doing? I've got the wrong glasses on. Let me just change those. That's better. Let there be light. Alright, so I need to find a little square there. That's it. Once you do this, you'll feel it. It sort of snaps into place. It's actually quite good for that. So I'm just going to take that down again, and I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to put my rubber mat on there, avoiding that hard line up the side of the stencil. Clear plate on top and run that through. So it is a bit of a process, and you do have to get your head around it, but it's really good, especially if you've got a smaller stencil and you want it for a bigger card. Actually, for the card I'm doing, I don't need to do all of this, because the only bits that are seen actually are here and here. But I did want to just show you how to do it. And that's the beauty, of course, of Jamie bringing us those lovely big 8x8 stencils, because then you've got it already done. So can you see now that pattern goes all the way down that card, the pattern matches up perfectly, and now we can progress and do this other side as well. And again, you're just going to match up, emboss this bit, move it down, emboss this bit, and you'll have a whole panel which you can see on this base card here. You see that? It goes right the way across. So I know I'm a faffer, and I like messing with stuff like this. I like working it out. I understand if you're sat there thinking, I'd lose the will to live doing that. That's entirely fine. We're all different, aren't we? But as I say, Jamie does provide those wonderful big 8x8 stencils. If you did need a big panel and this is something you perhaps wouldn't want to bother doing, that's fine. But if you do, that's how to go about it. So hopefully that's clear as mud. Alright, so I've got my base down, and I've got my A5 card, I've got a black mat, and I've got my embossed panel. So the next thing I want to do is emboss in a different way with a stencil and some of our beautiful gemstones texture paste. So let me grab some scrap paper. Excuse the Greek. As you know, I'm using up some printing I did for my daughter, which went slightly awry. I'm still using it up. That's how awry it went. Now for this one, if you have a look at the sample, the points of the triangle aren't visible. So all I need to do is turn the stencil on its side and emboss the top 2/3 of the triangle. Doesn't matter that it doesn't go all the way down. So what does matter is getting it straight. And also, and again this is me because I am a bit fussy, is lining up where the pattern meets at either side so that it's the same top and bottom, but that's just a detail that matters to me. So I want to try and find how many lines I've got on each side, and it's something like that. Okay, then I've got this fabulous black onyx glitter texture paste, and this one is a beautiful deep dark black. I know that sounds a bit mad because you think, well, black's black, but some blacks are very blue, some blacks are brown, some blacks are purple, but this is a really lovely black. Oh, sorry, I've got a question. Sheila's asking if you've got a spare damage rubber mat, it would work easier if we cut it down to the DL size for embossing. Yes, if you've got a damaged mat and you don't mind cutting it up and you're using DL stencils, but you don't have to have the mat the same size as the stencil. It can be bigger, it can be smaller. But if you want it the same size, it does make the process more straightforward. So yeah, certainly if you've got one that's damaged and you want to chop it up, go for it. Nothing lost, is it? Okay, so I'm going to make sure I catch the edges of this, and I'm going to, I could tape it down, but I'm going to risk it for a biscuit. So let's just start putting this paste through. Now, as you probably know, texture pastes in general contain moisture, so you don't want to hang about messing too much with it. You want to try and get it down and move on, because the more you work it, the more the cardstock underneath will absorb moisture from it and start to bow and lift, and then you don't realise it's done it, and you're merrily stenciling away, and your paste starts to get underneath your stencil. So don't overwork it, just pop it down, scrape off the excess back in the pot, and lift up and pop that into some water. I need 2 of these, but I've already done some, so. And then I just like to clean the top of the jar, because then it doesn't seal itself shut. So just clean everything up. Quick wipe round the rim there. And then, if, like mine, is practically empty, just a quick mist in there, just the one, as long as you do it regularly, and then lid on, and it'll be absolutely fine. Oops, I don't know if you can get the lid back on. What's going on? There we go. Okay, and then just check that the edges aren't, you see I've got some little spiky bits there, so what I tend to do is just take my spatula, and if there are any little extra bits, get rid. Or you can actually cut them afterwards, let it dry, and then snip them, but I just like to get it done. And then just set that aside to dry. So I've got a couple of those already done. I've also got texture paste up my nail now, that's great. Messy pup. Right, so let's pop that to one side to dry. Where can I put it? I'm running out of space here. And let me show you the 2 that I've got ready. So here they are. So you see what I mean? Trying to match up the patterns, because they're going to be opposites. They don't match perfectly, and it doesn't really matter, but it's just sometimes it will matter. Sometimes it will make a difference. On this occasion it doesn't. Now I've cut myself a black mount for those. Now this is another reason why I absolutely love these triangles. Cutting that to sit that onto and getting it even would be a nightmare, unless you're really good at maths and measuring angles and all that malarkey. Oh no, perfect with these lovely layering isosceles triangles. We have a question. Excuse me 1 second. Oh no, I'm freezing again. I think that may be down to your internet speed. I know I had lots of issues last time, but that wasn't one of them. So just, yeah, just scoot out, come back, sign in again. You should be fine. Is there a right side to the stencils? No, there isn't. Oh, dearie me. But when you look at them, let me just grab my clean one. They have the stencil vault etched on that little tab at the top. So if you do need to make sure you're keeping it the right way around, that's a great way to know that it is, if you always have that facing you so you can read it. But it doesn't matter otherwise if there's a right and a wrong side to a stencil generally. If you want to get really technical, when you cut a stencil, it does develop a bevel, much like when you cut a die. So the front side of it is slightly smoother than the back side, and some people prefer to use it that way around. But I don't think it's that critical, to be honest. I guess it depends what you're doing, what technique you're using. I hope that clears up. Okay, so I'm going to now attach these to the black layer. I think I love this stencil for this design because it's very reminiscent of Art Deco, and that's exactly what this car and the luggage, it reminded me of that sort of time of luxury travel and class and elegance and all of that, you know, something I can only dream about. I've never been elegant. I don't think I'll ever be elegant in my life. Too late now. But yeah, that sort of time, it was the age of glamour, wasn't it? You know, all the big movie stars and the fancy clothes and everybody dressed up and wore a hat, and yeah, really glamorous times, weren't they? I think we've lost a bit in that these days. Nobody seems to dress up anymore, do they? Except perhaps for a wedding. I don't know why I did that the wrong way around, but just never mind. Stick it on like so. And then I'll just clean up that extra glue. See, that's what happens when you try and talk and do it at the same time. All starts to go horribly wrong. So look at that now. I couldn't have done that if I'd had to cut that mat myself. There's no way. But there we go. And then these are going to go opposite sides of our card. Just like that. They can overlap in the middle. If you don't want to get too much bulk in the middle, you can cut them off, but it doesn't really matter. They're going to be covered up. Is everybody all right? Are we all back on track? I'll just come and say hello. Are we all right? Yeah? We're back. Oh, good. All right. Glad about that. Okay. So, I'll stick those down in a mo. But the next thing I wanted to do was show you the background. So what I've got is I've got lots of bits here. The die that came with the luggage tags, this lovely frame. So it cuts the outer edge, but it also cuts the inner panel as well. So you always get the inner panel. And what I did with that, I'm sorry, I've left my ink pad somewhere. But I used the blue metallic ink pad, you know, the little square ones. Put some down on a blending mat, one of these, added a bit of water, and then just sort of dotted and dabbed the card into it. So that's how I've created this kind of cloudy background. I like the texture it creates, because those inks don't dissolve completely in water. They're not 100% water based, so they behave a little bit differently, but that's great because it means you get these interesting textures. So I've got my cloudy sky, and I decided I wanted the frame to be black. So what I did, I cut a piece of cream card to sit behind the frame, and then I'm going to sit my sky panel back into that, so it's got something to support it, because if I didn't do that, if I didn't have that in the background, that wouldn't be supported. It could just fall through. So it does need something behind it. And then I've got foam tape ready to go on that. So let's pop this into the middle. Told you it was a long project, didn't I? It's right involved. But I like stuff like that. I like to get my teeth into something. Once in a while, not all the time. But yeah, it's good to have a challenge, isn't it? Okay, and sometimes I just get an idea. You get to the point where you've got this idea and you get your teeth into it and you really want to do it, and it takes you down all sorts of avenues of trying this and trying that till you get the result that you've pictured in your head. At least I do. So there we are. That's our frame now that's going to sit across the middle. and I've sized the mat so it edges it perfectly. So there we are. Now you can see that point is just protruding a little bit. If I sit that in the middle, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap those over so that the bottom one is at the top, and then I'm going to lift this slightly high of the centre. I always feel things look better if they're slightly high of centre. If they're right in the middle, I don't know, it sort of chops it in half somehow. Whereas when you lift it ever so slightly, it just gives it a bit more perspective. Thank you, Sharon. Creative mind or mad genius, I'm not so sure. Okay, so there's the basis of the card, and now we can start to trim with other bits and bobs, can't we? So here we have the stamp and the die for our tickets, and I should have another one somewhere. I'll have to make one. Alright, that could be challenging because I've packed all my stamping stuff away. Oh, I've got my platform, I'll use that. A bit excessive for a ticket, but it'll get the job done, won't it? Alrighty, so I'm going to put some card in here. Black ink pad, stamp. Where's I put my stamps? Oh dear, sorry about this folks, told you I was a bit disorganised tonight. I've had a lot going on, I've been a busy bee. I've had a lot of fun. Oh, and it's still going on. Every time I think about Saturday I get little butterflies in my stomach. I can't wait, so lovely. Right, which one shall we have? We've got Bon Voyage, and we've got First Class, The Adventurer. What did I use on my original one? Time for an Adventure. Sounds like a plan. There we are, that one. So this is a ticket style. My screen keeps turning itself off. It's really annoying. What would it look like the other way? What do you mean, Sue? What would what look like the other way? Sorry. I've missed the train of thought there. Just let me know what it is. So let's pick that stamp up and then we can get it inked. And let's stamp that down. Thank you, Jamie. I'm glad you've got faith. I don't even know what day it is. If I turn up on the right day, it'll be a miracle. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit of paper in there because it's a bit inky. Put that out of the way till it's time to clean it. Right, so we've got our stamp, and now I need the die. And here we are. So for that one, it needs to be this one. I love these because they fit so nicely. Oh, the triangles. The rectangle on the triangles. Oh, I see what you mean. So what would it look like that way? It would look like that. It's got a kind of weird illusion to it, that now, hasn't it? Well, you decide. You've got options. Always good. Okay, so going back to our little luggage tag. As I was saying, these dies, they fit so beautifully. It's not a hassle trying to get them to cut properly. They fit the stamps really accurately. It's lovely. So refreshing, because some don't, and it's very frustrating. So just take that down and pop this through and cut it. we all still okay? Are we with me? I hope I'm not keeping you fed up. I mean, I think once you get something like this and you've done it, you can then think about doing it perhaps in different colours or with a different vehicle. I mean, I'm going to use the car, but you could certainly turn it on with one of the other vehicles, couldn't you? And that makes it look different again. So it's nice once you've got an idea like this, a project, you can repeat it and change it up a bit. So there we are. We have our gorgeous little tag all ready to go. So let's start to put some of this together. I'm going to have to glue these down. So we'll get that in place. And again, just try and centre it. Make sure you cast the right way up. That always helps. Not that it matters at this point, but start as you mean to go on. So try and get these distances as even as you can. And just make sure you push that black right to the edge. See, these are the sorts of details I spend time over. And I know it's not for everybody. I do appreciate that. But if you can take something from it, it'll help in your own crafting, hopefully. You don't have to go to the lengths I do. There we are. Right. And then, as I say, the central panel, I've got foam tape on here. And it's black, which is great. When you're working with dark colours, it's nice to have the dark tape because it's not seen so readily then if you happen to glance at it from an angle or from the side or whatever it might be. So let's put this, as I say, slightly high, just to give it that perspective and just a bit of a different balance between top and bottom. I always feel the bottom somehow needs to be a little bit wider. It's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. Right, so now we move on. We've got our tickets. I've got them all ready to go, and the next thing we need to look at is the luggage, and I've got one here started, and I've used the same wax on cream card and on black card. Hello, my nails, and well, they're not very clean at the minute. It's something I need to do. Excuse me, I need to grab new wax. Oh, drat, I haven't got the right one. Just excuse me one second, talk amongst yourselves. Sorry about that. I knew I'd have forgotten something. Always do. Right, so I'm using the Raindrop metallic wax. If you've not seen these before, they are a metallic wax, but they don't smell. They're not like a paraffin wax. I think they're oil based. So they're quite creamy, but they are hard in the jar. You might think that it's gone off. It hasn't. They are hard. So you just need to warm it either by friction, by actually working something into it, or pop it into a warm environment and it'll just soften it slightly. So yeah, don't worry if you think it's gone off. It hasn't, and they'll last a very long time. Now I'm just going to take off the excess, and then I'm using a finger dauber, partly because it's easier to get it in the jar, but also it's easier then to just scooch across the surface of this die cut. I'm just going to get some paper. I don't know if that's any better with the writing on it. And what I tend to do is very gentle. I'm not pressing hard at all. If you press hard, you'll defeat the object and it'll go into the crevices, which you don't want. So the whole point is to make them stand out. And I'm just working in little circles, and you can see how quickly that's covered. Now the first half I did, whenever it was I last did this collection, which is a long time ago, and you can see that the first half and the half I've just done have blended absolutely perfectly. So you don't get that crossover line with these. It's really super. So if you get distracted in the middle of a project, it won't matter. You can go back and add to it. Whereas if that was something like a watercolour ink, you've no chance. If it's dried in a line and you go to do the other bit, you're going to get that line where it layers double thickness. So they really are forgiving for that. I've lost my black one. Here it is. So that's on the cream card. I'm now going to do the same thing over the black card. So just little circles, or up and down, but try not to press because it will go into all those little grooves. I just love these waxes. They cover so well. And I saw Jamie doing his oriental flower vases. I don't know when it was. Was it Monday? And they looked absolutely amazing because the black cardstock is actually quite textural, so it was picking up all that texture. And mine's doing the same, but I want mine a bit more solid, so I am rubbing a little bit more firmly. And as Jamie said, if you use your finger will only skim over the top. These can be too soft. If you press hard, they're going to go down into the grooves. So very, very gentle pressure, if any at all. I'm just dusting it lightly. And look at that, off black card. Isn't that lovely? Can you see that shimmer? And it does have a blue tint to it. So, really like that effect. And it gives you waxes far more than one use, doesn't it? Think about putting it over other colours of card as well. I mean, over a blue card, you know, you put it over a yellow card, it would probably go a bit green because they are a bit translucent. I mean, that's gone sort of turquoisey on the cream, so that's something to maybe have a play around with. Alright, so we've got our suitcases and they're going to sit in the front here. Now I had a bit of trouble with these suitcases getting them to look right until I had a light bulb moment. If you've got something like this that's on an angle and you want to put it so it looks right, look at the straight lines within the design and make sure they're straight up, vertical, and then it will just look right. And it's such a simple thing, but I was faffing for ages because I just couldn't get them to look like they were straight. Well, they're not straight, are they? But do you know what I mean? So that's just a top little tip for you. And they're going to be staggered like that and stuck on there. So I'm just going to attach that to the frame. You don't need a lot of glue on it, things like this either. It's literally going to rest on there. And I'm just lining up those vertical lines with the edge of that so it looks proper. And then the blue suitcase, I will put some glue along the bottom of it and a little bit up there. That's all you need. You don't need a lot. And again, let's get that straight and overlapping that one so they look like they've been stacked together. I just need to hold that for a couple of seconds for it to dry. There we go. So they're in place. And then our tags are going to form a little cluster up here. So I've got, this one's going to go up there. And this one's going to sit further down. So I've got a little bit of foam on there that's going to sit off the edge because by now this is getting quite chunky under here. We've got layers of card, we've got some foam, so it's quite high actually. So if I was to stick that on there, that end would just sag down. So I've just put some foam at the top of it. And I can pop that at a jaunty angle, like that. And then tuck that one in behind it. That needs a bit of foam on the top of it as well, so I'm not going to stick it right now. And then this one, again, at a jaunty angle, something like that. Okay, just a little bit of glue on the bottom part of it. And again, I've got foam just at the top. So it can go off the edge there. All right. It's not quite in the right place. Take that one out a bit. Can't get hold of it now. That one can slide in and out, so I can get that where I want it when I'm ready. All right, so all we need now is our beautiful car. So let's have a look at that. How is everybody? Joanna, that's a bit awkward, isn't it? I hope you resolve it. Okay, so I have my car and I have all the bits and pieces cut out. Now I have made a start on this because it did take me ages, I'm not going to lie. I have got all sorts of things going on here. Bits of acetate, headlamps, bumper bars, you name it, backs of seats. I've probably lost some in the... Yes, let's see where we get to. Alright, so I have the main car here and I cut it out of the grey cardstock, pebble grey. I've then waxed it with the white wax, and then I've coloured the tyres black, and then I've also waxed those so they're not a really harsh black, they're like a grey if you like, and they have that kind of sheen that tyres do, that rubber tyres do. So that's that bit, and then I decided in my wisdom that I wanted this car to have a two-tone finish. And didn't that turn out to be a bit of a thing? So I did it in black again, the whole car, and then decided which bits I wanted to be black and cut them, fussy cutting them. Oh my goodness. But so worth it. So that's going to go over there like that. So I'm going to glue that down. I'm going to use my fine glue nozzle. Not that one because it's empty. Sharon, I like your style. Bring your sister along, yeah? Is she not a crafter though? If she's not a crafter, she won't thank you, will she? I mean, she might not anyway. This is me we're talking about. Okay, so bits of glue, not too much. Can you see why it was a bit of a thing to cut out that? But again, when I really want to do something, I set my mind to it. I can spend hours, I'll do it. Sometimes I think, no, it's a step too far. And other times I just get my teeth in and I'm like, no, I'm going to get this right. Do you ever get like that? Do you ever get really determined you want to do something? So, let's get this in the right spot. Already looks smart, doesn't it? Smart car, this. Oh, yeah. You could see somebody like Grace Kelly, couldn't you, wandering off in this? With her headscarf and her sunglasses on. Maybe Debbie McGee. Maybe she would look very fitting in a car like this. What do you think, Jamie? There we are. So now we've got our black bumper bars and foot plates here. Isn't it smart? And then I had to do the bonnet because, well, you just do, don't you? So I cut that out in the black as well. Okay, let's glue that down. I don't know if I'm going to get around to doing my second one, you know. This is taking me longer than I thought. There we are. Ooh, yes, very nice. And then I've got this little piece of acetate that I cut and embossed with, I've got to get the right way around now, through the machine, and then I had to cut the edges just by hand, and I'm going to pop that into the windscreen. See what I mean about when I get my teeth into something and I really I think it's because I used to work a lot in miniature and my job involved tiny things as well, so I don't mind doing tiny fiddly things, but I know for a lot of people it's probably, you're probably losing the will to live, but that's okay. You do you, and I'll just show you what I do. Which is generally have a great time. Okay, let's pop this in line now. There we are. So now it's got a windscreen. Just let that dry. You know, with acetate it's a bit awkward, isn't it, for it to dry when you're using glue. But it was the only way I could do it, so I'll clean it up afterwards. And then this little piece here is the back seat and the front seat, and I decided that needed to be potentially cream leather. Thank you. It does give it another look, doesn't it? I mean, you could do this. You don't have to do all this faffing I'm doing. You could just do it with colouring pens, couldn't you? You know, get your plain car, colour it with your marker pens, and it would look just as good. But I just like to make life hard for myself. So now it's got the cream leather seating in the back there. And then the last thing I need to do is add in the headlamps, and I've coloured these just with a really soft wash of a shimmer pen, a bit of yellow and a bit of orange, just to give it the glow. Now I can't really stick those in because there's nothing to support it. So what I tend to do when I get to doing something like this is put glue around the join on the back. So pop the headlamp in and then just add a tiny bit of glue, and once that dries it will hold it in. Or you could just put some tape across the back. It's entirely up to you. But because I wanted, if this was going flat it wouldn't be a problem because I could put them in, but I wanted it raised. I wanted to put foam tape on the back of it, so I had to find a way to stick them in. So that was how I did it. And then don't faff with it because then you push them out again. Alright, so there's 3 headlamps here, one there and a little one there, and I have got all of them, which is quite a miracle considering. So they all need to go in as well, but I won't make you watch me do that. So once that's all put together, foam tape on the back of it to give it some lift, and then what I did was I varnished the black parts, and I used it was pin flare decoupage varnish, proper decoupage varnish, and it had about 6 coats. Can you see it shining? It's a very thin varnish, but it's self-leveling, so it goes super smooth. And so now we've got our shiny car. So there we are. That's our vintage car from the lovely Vintage Travel collection. And that, I think, is a luxury project. You'd have to want to give it to somebody really special, I think, if you're going to go to those lengths. Or maybe just not give it to anybody. Just keep it. Alright, faffing. Yeah, I have been faffing. I like faffing. Sometimes, not all the time. But every now and then, I think, yes, you're quite right. You're quite right, Sue. I've been faffing. That's alright. So, glossy accents, it would, but it's very difficult to get glossy accents absolutely smooth. I find it a bit too dimensional, but that's me. but give it a go. Maybe if you painted it on very thinly, but then I always find it maintains the brush strokes, so I don't know. But this one I love it because it's very thin, it's very liquid, and you just paint it on and it self levels, but you do have to give it several coats to build up the gloss, but it's worth it. So yeah, about 6 coats, so I know, but it doesn't take long to dry. You just give it a coat, put it to one side, go and do something else, come back, give it another. It's not a biggie. Do it in between other things. Okay, so have we any questions? Yes, the colours do have to be just right. Yeah, Pam, absolutely. Go for it. You do the colouring. So each to their own, isn't it? You know, that's the beauty of what we do, and we can all put our spin on things. All right, so no questions. I think I explained that in such great detail. Can't be any questions, surely. Alrighty. So I'm going to have a quick look now at another project. Oh, actually, just before I do, I've got a couple of other samples to show you. This one, I did exactly like the first one I showed you with the pocket, but I decided to change it, and the reason I'm showing you this is because it shows how you can do the same thing with the same card plan, but it can look entirely different. So with this one I chose some nice floral paper. It was double-sided, so when I folded the pocket I got the plain side on some of it showing and the floral showing on some of it, and it worked out really nicely with the folding pocket. And then I decided to put one of the triangles with the plain side and one with the floral side, so that you saw the distinction then between the bits and pieces. And then instead of embossing through the machine with the stencil, I've used that fantastic copper, is it rose copper, gemstones texture paste, and did it with texture paste instead. So it's a bit more feminine looking than the first one was, which was quite, I felt quite masculine. Let me just grab it. So there's the two, but you can see the pattern of the card is exactly the same, but don't they look different? So again, that's something, once you get a nice card that you like, just change what you're making it with, different colours, different papers, different bits and bobs, and it'll look entirely different. So that's just another little idea for you to go away with. And then this was a little book I did, I can't remember when, somebody asked me to do it, I think it was Kim, and I did it in the live, and then I finished it off with a little stitch pamphlet inside, and then added the vintage tags just to give it some decoration. So again, these little tags are going to come in for all sorts of goodies. Stencils there from the stencil vault, and the rippled star blooms featuring on there, as well as the lavish foliage. So that was just another little thing showing how, when you've got these collections, you can bring them in to all sorts of things that you might be making. And that's, you know, it's a sign of a really good, well thought out collection, isn't it, that? So there we go. Oh, I know, sneaky peeks, Monday, don't miss it, 7 o'clock with me here on this page. That's if I survive the weekend. So yes, don't tempt fate. Right, now the next thing I want to show you, have we time? What time is it? Oh, we're all right. This one is sometimes called a curtain card, sometimes called a stage card, but whatever it is, it's fancy. And you pull out the two curtains, if you like, if they don't get stuck, and it reveals a three-dimensional scene inside there. So I thought it might be nice to have a look at this one. It was too in-depth to show in the live when I was doing all the other stuff as well, so we saved it for a bit later. So I'm going to show you the basic construction, and then we'll see where we get to. So for this one, you need, and the measurements actually don't really matter, because once you understand the principle, You can do it any size you like, but you need 5 pieces of card the same size. These ones happen to be, I think, 6.5, because I wanted it to be square. But you can make rectangular ones, you can make them tall, you can make them wide, it's entirely up to you, but I wanted to make it square. So 5 pieces, and the reason for that is you need 1 for the back, 2 for the front, because I feel the front needs strengthening because it has the middle of it cut out, and so that weakens it. So you need to strengthen it. So I do it double thickness. So 2 pieces are going to be for my front and 1 piece is going to be for my back. Now for this one I decided to replace one of the front panels with one of Jamie's foiled inkables. So that's going to be the front, and I've cut that to the same size as these two. So my front is going to be a foiled inkable and one of the plain pieces of card, and that's my back. Alright, and then we need the curtains. So 2 more pieces the same size, but then what you do is you cut them down from the height by 1/4 inch. And that's so that once you get it into the mechanism, it can actually move, because they need to be held in place. So take 1/4 inch off the top of 2 of the pieces. Then what you're going to do is score them in half and in half again. And these are going to make your wings, if you like, the stage wings. So I've already gone ahead and stamped these and started colouring them with my pattern. And now what you need to remember about these is that they're going to go in opposite directions. So like that. It doesn't matter while you're scoring them and cutting them and everything, but once you start to decorate them, you need to remember that they're going to reverse and be like that. So, where's my sample gone? If you have a look at this, when we pull it through the wing, it's getting stuck on something, that one. You see how it's got a strap at the back of it? That's holding it, and it helps to slide through. And then if you look at it from the top, you can see the score lines. Okay, so this is half, and then 1/4 and 1/4 to give us the curtain mechanism. Alright. So let's get those folded. I can remember how to do it. So you fold it all in the same direction. So it's not a zigzag fold. It's like a J, like that. So that is one wing. And then when it folds flat, it's like that. So this one will be the right hand one. So this will be the front, and this will open that way. So we need to make sure when we're doing it that we have this one the opposite way. So let's fold that. Are you with me so far? I'm giving your brains a workout tonight, aren't I? Oops. Alright, so it's no good having them both that way, so we need that one that way. And then they're going to meet in the middle, and then when we open them, they'll open like that. Okay, so that's our 2 wings. So let's get working on the front. Now I need to cut the middle out of this. So I've got one of Jamie's layering circles that fits perfectly in that circle there. Where's my tape going? I'll take that in place. I moved it. Okay. There we go. And I need to cut through the front at the same time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tape these together. So I'm going to put a piece of tape over the top like that, so that it doesn't separate. I could really do with another one at the bottom. I should do it really, and then we won't have an accident, will we? So just tape them together and then they can't move. It might cut through both layers at the same time. If it doesn't, you'll take the top one away and then go back, pop the die back in and cut the second one on that. And it has cut through both. Fabulous. So now I can take that off. And you've also got two lovely circles to use for something else. But now we've got our front, and we're going to keep those together, and we're going to get one of the really tiny circles from the layering set, and we're going to cut our little thumb holes at the side. So I'm going to take the smallest one and I'm going to cut half of it into the side like so. So try and find the middle. And then pop that through the machine. Actually, I just realised I don't need it on the second layer, so that it won't get seen. So I'm going to separate these again. My tape's getting a bit sticky now because it's been through the machine a couple of times. So if you find that happens, I don't know if any of you have come across these before. These crepe rubbers, they're like a sticky remover. They're brilliant. Gets rid of all that tape residue that you sometimes get left with, and it's not very nice, especially if you're trying to ink over something and you suddenly wonder why your ink's gone very dark in one section, and it's usually because of that. So, all right, yeah, I can feel it, it's really sticky. Just get rid of it. In there as well. Okay, so we'll do the other side. Our little thumb hole. Pop that through the machine. So now we've got those little thumb holes so that we can get hold of that and pull the wings through. So we have our front. Get them lined up properly. And when the curtains are closed, they're going to meet in the middle like this. So you get the idea. So now we need the mechanism, and this is in the form of 2 strips of card, and you need them a little bit longer, and then we're going to fold the edge over to create like a little flap. So I haven't got my scoring board to hand, so what I'll do is just use my ruler. it straight and score. And then just lift it against the edge of the ruler, do it that way. And you need this to sit, you see it's just inside the edge of the card there. So that's why you needed the curtain sizes to be slightly smaller, because it needs to sit just inside there. So I'm going to check that against the height of this. It's about, it's a tiny amount. I mean, it's not much at all. Probably about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, 3/16, something like that. And then on this side, same thing, score, fold, and then you've got your flaps to attach it with. So turn it over and you're going to attach it like that. Okay, so just a spot of glue, give it plenty of time to fix up before you try to pull your mechanism. It's tempting because you want to see if it works and you want to have a go, and then it all falls apart because your glue hasn't dried. It's not usually very good. So try and get those again even. Otherwise, when you're pulling the curtains, they won't line up and work together. And also, make sure there's, you know, it's not too tight. It's got a little bit of give in it, so that you can get the card in there. You can get the curtain in there. Okay, so I've already got the other side done. Let's stick that down. And just line them up so that everything's straight, because if not, your curtains won't line up and then they won't move together, which, you know, is really the point of what we're doing. Okay, so I've got some more sticky there, get rid. Now we can take out this little half circle here, and I'm just going to mark it with my pencil and then just take my scissors. It's not going to be seen, so I've just made a little half circle with the pencil where that thumb hole is, and I'm just going to cut that away from the strap. It's only going to be behind the curtain, it's not going to be seen, so it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be that accurate. You don't have to go back to using your die or anything like that. So it's a bit rough and ready, but nobody will see it. Just draw through the thumb hole. I'm sure that little thing has a better name than a thumb hole. Does anybody know if it has a proper name? I love stuff like that, finding out what words are. I should have been a librarian, I think. I love words, I love books. Okay, so that's our front ready to go. And then, as I say, I have already stamped these, so that was with the lovely DL floral vines, floral chains, something like that. Now I've gone and made my strap a bit tight, but that's okay. So you push the open edge with the design on. This is why it's a good idea to stamp it first, obviously, but you can get these out again afterwards. So that comes out the side, and then you've got this funny thing, this wing happening at the back. Okay, and this one similarly will go through here and out the side. So we've got our mechanism coming together now. So we've got our double thickness front. We haven't, you know, because I didn't stick them back together. Oops, never mind, I should have done. It seems to be holding up all right. And then we need to attach the back to it. So we've got our back here, and we need to make sure everything's lined up properly. So what we're going to do is close this. We're going to press these two pieces flat, and we're going to make sure the curtains are closed and the edges are both lined up with the card front. So just juggle that around until you get them in the right place. Okay, and then we're going to glue this outside quarter panel to the card back. So you can take things in place if you're worried it's going to move and you're not going to get it in the right place. I tend to stick the middle together with a little piece of tape. So, because they do keep shifting, and it's a bit frustrating if you put it all together and then it shifts. So let's get this lined up properly. Sorry, I'm making a hash of this. Yeah, I'm missing that second layer of the front of the card to make it a bit stronger. So that's a good lesson learned, isn't it? Don't forget to do your double thickness front. Right. Oh, stop it. There we go. So I'm going to take that fold together. And then I'm going to very carefully turn this over. And I'm going to glue these panels to the back of the card. So it's the outside quarter panel that we've created. I promise I won't be doing anything this intricate on Saturday. Can you imagine coming to a demo day and you sit there for like 3 hours watching one card be made? That's not good, is it? Right, and then you have to let that dry. Unfortunately, you do have to be patient, because if the glue's not fixed, as you've already seen, things are going to start shifting around, which is not good. But it's tempting because you think, I want to see if it works, I want to see if it works. So that's how you construct it. I didn't want to go through the whole process of doing the inside because it took me absolutely ages when I was doing this one. But you would do your decorating and your inside of the back first before you construct it all. You can always slide a panel in afterwards if you want to get it constructed and then decide what you want to put inside it. You might just want to put a sentiment in the middle of the back there. It's entirely up to you. So just while that's hardening up, I'll show you the one I've done. So when we open this, I've got the fairy tale castle in there, and I've also brought the picture round onto the... Oh, why have we gone upside down? Do you know? These things happen in a weird way, don't they? Thank you, that's better. So I've taken the picture onto the side, so that's the middle quarter. So do you remember when we did the curtains, we had a half, which is the front bit here. Then we had the quarter, which is that bit you can see there, and then the outside back quarter, which is what's holding it together. So the picture you can see on the side, it makes like a box, if you like, in there, and you can see it on both sides. Still back to front, aren't we? What is going on? Sorry, folks, this is a nightmare. Oh. Now we're upside down. Marvellous. Help. Thank you. Dear me, it's very strange. Don't do what you expect it to do that at all. So I've painted it, coloured it with ink pads, added sparkle, added glitter, used shimmer pens, made it all princessy, added flowers. And let me show you the stamp set this is from, because it's really beautiful. And I've also got the DL stamp. I think I have, no I haven't. The floral one, I've lost that. So this is the Princess Castle. So all these flowers, the trees, are just what I've used to create this scene by repeat stamping the trees, the flowers, and then colouring them all in. But that all has to be done before you construct it. Otherwise, you could make a scene and you could just slide it in. It's probably easier actually to do that. So measure this, score it in the appropriate place, fold it, and then just slide it in. And also another thing you can do with these is to add a bar through there, and then you can add another layer to your scene. So you could have more trees or something in the foreground, or a picket fence, or I don't know, anything. To do that, what you need to do is cut a little slit in here in the side. You'd put a little slit there and another one there on the other side, and then make a bar and put some tabs on the end of it so it doesn't pull through, and then you could have another layer through there and add more dimension to it that way. So yeah, it's a good one to play with, and it's nice to do it with fancy papers in the background. Yeah, lots of things you can do with it. So let's see if ours is going to work now, the one we've just put together. Hopefully. There we go. So as long as you remember to do, I've got one here, you score it in half. That's the panel that's going to show at the front. So the other side you score in half again, and then you fold it into a U shape, and that makes your curtains. And then the other one you just have to reverse it so that you've got your two front panels, and then you've got your two wings going like that. Attach the back to it, attach the front to it, and then decorate to your heart's content. And I decided to use the lavish foliage, and I quite liked having it at the top. And then these were the button bloom flowers, so you can add some of these to it as well. And then there's another one missing its centre, and then a sentiment if it's going to be a birthday card. And I did a drop shadow with gold and white because we've got gold on this foiled ink ball. So just drop the shadow, cut it twice, and pop that down on the front. And there you have it. So, did that make sense? Probably not a lot. I hope you got something out of it. But have a go. I'd love to see your makes. If you do have a go, please share your makes on the main page, Creative Expressions Facebook group, official Facebook group. And let us know how you get on. If you do get stuck and you have any questions, please do reach out, but not this week because I'm a bit busy. And I won't have access to all the messages and stuff like that. So, right, let's have a look. Oh, thank you so much. I mean, some of these ideas, I don't know where I picked them up from. It's something I've seen, and then I adapt it to do what I want it to do. And I like to work out a way where I don't have to give you specific measurements, because I think a lot of people balk at the idea of measuring. So if I can say to you, this is the principle of what you do, you know, like your side, your front, 5 pieces of card, all the same size, 2 for the front, cut the aperture, and that could be any shape, it doesn't have to be a circle. Cut the aperture through both of those layers, and that's your front. The back is then the same size. The 2 wings need to be slightly shorter from the top, so take 1/4 inch off. Then those 2 wings you fold in half, one side in half again, and then you put it together like I've just shown you. So if I can give you a general method, instead of saying this needs to be 6.5 and this needs to be 3.25 and it doesn't. You can do it any size you like, using that principle that I've hopefully explained. I say hopefully. All right. Well, thank you all so much. You've lovely comments. Thank you. You're very kind. Um, I know Jamie loves his construction cards, so I think you might be seeing something along those lines from him. He's saying he wants to have a go, which is amazing. Thank you, Jamie. Um, so just to reiterate our bits of news, there's not a lot that I can tell you because my lips are sealed officially. Thank you, thank you. I'm really looking forward to Saturday. I've got so much to share. I'm doing 3 collections, and of course, one of them is completely world exclusive to Craft Bliss, which, that's a privilege and a half, isn't it? Amazing. So, you lucky people that can get there, you'll be the first to put eyes on it. And that's all I'm going to say. And then after that, it's going to be a sneaky peek on Monday night with me here again at 7. And we'll be talking a little bit about it. I don't know how much I'm allowed to show you. I'll have to talk to the boss. And then I'll be launching that on Hobby Maker a week today. I can't remember my times. I know my last one's probably, I think, is it 8 o'clock? It might be something like 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock. I know they're evening ones, so I hope you'll join me for that. Because of that, we're swapping our lives. That's why I'm going to be here Monday to do Monday Night Natter, and Jamie's doing Friday Night Natter because he'll be holding my hand on Thursday. So we're doing a bit of jiggery pokery there. But do keep your eye on the page. We always try and put the information up there. It's listed as events. If you just look for the events, look for the right date and what's going on, and you should be able to catch up with everything there. So I'm going to love you and leave you because I have a card to pack and, things to do, places to go, people to see. Can't wait. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely rest of your evening. As always, take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time. Bye.